what all monotheists are told to do, and admire the man who said, yes, I'll gut my kid to show my love of God, I'd say, no, fuck you. Who can create us sick, as apparently we are, and then order us on pain of eternal torture to be well again. For a child made in the image of God, oh no, you're not. You're a faggot. And you can't join your church and you can't go to heaven. This is disgraceful. It's inhuman.
So do you think Christians go to the doctor when they're sick and get x-rays, ultrasounds, MRIs, CAT scans, medication, immunizations, vaccinations, all the things they require to live longer, healthier lives, surgery, casts, metal pins that they put in bones to stabilize them when they've been badly fractured. You think Christians, when they're not able to have a normal pregnancy, do you suppose they have C-sections? When somebody is choking, do you think a Christian would hope somebody would give them the Heimlich maneuver? I think that's what it's called. Or CPR if their heart stops or their breathing stops. I think a Christian, if they're in need to get emergency care, would take advantage of an ambulance rushing them to the hospital, and the paramedics that would possibly be required to stabilize them to survive getting to the hospital. Do you think if a Christian gets in a terrible car accident, they would want somebody to cut them out of the car? I think it's called the jaws of life that they use to pry the car apart so that they can be extracted from the vehicle and rushed to the hospital. I think they would hope to have that benefit in the event that they need to be rescued from a car. Do you think if they get burned that they would want ointments for their skin or skin grafts, or having their bandages changed, or having bandages? Do you think if they're in a burning building, they would hope that the big ladder trucks would be raised, the ladders rather, not the trucks, would be raised to where they are to get them from the building, and that the firefighters would be able to utilize the kind of techniques required to be able to carry them down the ladder safely? You think Christians, when they go to the grocery store, take advantage of food that's been FDA approved, it's been that's been shown to not have chemicals, that's basically been made organically or in a healthy way, rather than with a bunch of pesticides or filler whatevers that the animals are fed, but instead buy food that's raised healthy and natural as opposed to artificially or mass-produced. I think a Christian, when they go to an electronics store, looks for the best phone they can find, one that will give them the fastest response time, the best service, internet connection, that will allow them to write memos, record their voice, take pictures, maybe set a calendar. Do you think they look for phones like that, or some kind of gizmo where they can store all their music so they don't have to have huge collection of CDs in their home? Instead, they just have it in a little tiny thing that they can press a button and hear whatever music they want to hear. Do you think they take advantage of things like Pandora, where they can just create on their own whatever music station they want? to hear without the constant interruptions of people selling stuff. I think people take advantage, Christians rather, take advantage of getting computers and going online and Googling and finding information, getting cooking recipes to find out how best recipes to make things with, or how to make things, I should say. Do you think Christians go to YouTube and look up how-to videos? They want to say, like, change out a toilet, or maybe put in their own floor rather than hire experts to do it. You think Christians use YouTube? You think Christians use computers and email to keep in touch with people? You think Christians use science when it's convenient, when it helps them, when it makes their life easy? Like, do you think they turn on a light switch when they need to see something? Do you think they turn on the heat when it gets cold in their home? These are all things brought to us by science. And do you think when it's convenient to a Christian, they utilize these things? Like a toilet that flushes rather than an outhouse in the backyard, for example? Do you think that Christians would prefer to live in a nice, comfortable environment rather than having to live in a cabin with no electricity and no heat, and raise their own food and slaughter their own food, or dig it up from the ground, or pick it from trees? I think Christians take advantage of all the benefits that science has given us, that has allowed us to have longer lives than we used to have. Cars to drive in rather than having to walk everywhere, or ride a horse, or a wagon, because technically the wagon is also science. Even the invention of fire, that's science. And my computer, speaking of science, is telling me that I have messages. See, that's more science. Do you think if a Christian is on the computer and they got a little blurb popping up, they appreciate having the notice that maybe there's an important conversation that they've been waiting to respond to? This is all science. Isn't it funny how, and I'm not going to say it's only Christians, but it seems to be a mentality that you see prominent in the GOP and Republicans, denying of science. But you notice the science they deny. It's funny, they don't deny any other science. All the things that I just blathered about for the last, 2 or 3, 4, 5 minutes. Oh, excuse me, speaking of science, this is science. This little thing here, this is science. It's putty, and it helps my hands. It helps me keep my aging, decrepit fingers limber and strong. This, which I also use for my hands, very good by the way, is also science. This hand moisturizer is science. This, a cup, is science. Pretty much anything that required inventing is science. This little container that the putty goes in is science. These are science. See, Christians take advantage. Look at this. This is something I kept because it's funny. I don't have very many things that were my dad's. I've kept this. This is a good example of evolution right here. This is what staplers used to look like when my dad was alive in the 60s. This is my dad's stapler when he had his tree nursery. Staplers have come a long way, haven't they? They have evolved because evolution. We mirror, as creatures that have evolved, that are evolved creatures, we mirror evolution, and everything about us in our society mirrors evolution, which is another science. But funny thing, Christians deny evolution, or a lot of them do. When I was a Christian, I did not. It made sense to me that things change over time. I don't quite understand why that's so hard for some Christians, not all, to wrap their minds around. Things change over time. Evidence. Oh, can you show me evidence of evolution? Hello? Evidence of evolution. It's everywhere. Evolution is everywhere. But a lot of Christians deny it because it doesn't support the Bible. It doesn't support. It's like if you want to know real truth, you go out and you find all the evidence you can, you put it together to to try to form a picture, and the picture tells you what the most likely explanation is. You don't start out with the explanation. Okay, my explanation of choice is that God created everything. So now I'm going to go around and try to pick and choose what things I want to look at to support my idea. Then I'm going to reject everything that doesn't support my idea. I'm only going to look at the things that do support my idea so I can believe a little bit more that my idea is true. That's what Christians do in their little heads. And I don't mean to put by saying little heads, because I used to be a Christian. But actually, I'd never believed in creationism, and it blows my mind that some people do. Oh, well, that science doesn't support what I want to believe, and what I know is true is that God created everything, so we reject that science. Ooh, that science tells me that the planet is in danger, and that the environment is in danger, and that we're teetering on the brink of having a huge environmental catastrophe. That I don't want to believe that, because that interferes with my ability to do whatever the fuck I want with the planet. So I'm just going to deny that. I feel like the whole mentality, the whole ability to deny, pick and choose, like they pick and choose verses in the Bible, whichever verses sound right to them, and reject whatever doesn't sound right or doesn't quite support what they think. But the Bible is still completely 100% God's Word. But we're going to pick through the parts of God's Word that we think we agree with and ignore all the other things. That's what they do. It's like their brains are conditioned now to be able to do that. We'll pick and choose which of the truth we want to believe, but we'll call it all truth. They do that with everything, and they do that with science. Well, we're going to cherry pick. It's just so inconvenient to think that human beings could be a problem to the planet. Like if you have enough fleas on the back of a dog, the dog is going to die. Should we blame the fleas? Why is it any different? And too many humans on the planet, and the host, the planet, starts to die. That's basically what we're looking at. But Christians, or people with the mindset that they just don't want to change, it's just so easy to just keep doing what we're doing and not think about the future, and not think about what our actions are going to do to the planet, and what our children are going to have to deal with 10 years from now, or 20 years from now, or their children after them. As long as we just keep doing what we're doing and keeping our comfortable little lives and all the things, all the conveniences that we like our cars. And coal is not dirty, not really. We can have coal and not destroy the planet. It's like if we embrace science, except when we don't like what it says. We embrace science, except when it might keep us from making money. That would be Donald Trump. I also noticed, speaking of him, that he's guaranteed he's like going to get all these jobs for people. You notice the kind of jobs that he's getting for people? Ooh, coal miner jobs, iron manufacturing jobs, ditch digger jobs, all the jobs that are menial labor jobs. But what is he doing about all the middle class jobs, the ones that that were the bread and butter for the middle class, like desk jobs, customer service jobs? Try calling any company and ask for a customer service person, if you're lucky to get a human at all, which anymore that's pretty rare. But if you do get a human, can you understand what they're saying? Do they understand you? Are they reading off of a script? And if you say anything that might cause them to have to say something that isn't on the script, they don't know what to say, so they just repeat whatever it is on the script. I've had that happen more times than I can count. There's no such thing as customer service anymore, because all the customer service people are overseas, and they can only answer so many questions, and if your question isn't on their script, fuck it, you don't get an answer to your question. And the attitude is like, oh well. And if you ask for a supervisor, you get somebody else from that foreign country who is also reading off of a script. There's no such thing as customer service anymore. All the middle class jobs are being shipped overseas by the billionaires who want to make money paying for slave labor, or people who will do the same work for a lot less money. And the businesses can make more money, and the people, the Americans, well, it's okay, guys. You can work you can dig ditches and be coal miners or waitresses or drive a taxi cab. Yeah, you don't need to sit at those desk jobs and make a livable wage. Instead, you could work 2 or 3 jobs to make the same money that you used to make from one job. That's the kind of jobs that Trump is getting for people, and he's bragging about it. So yeah, science deniers. I just think that they're cherry pickers, just like religious people cherry pick through their holy book, which is supposed to be the all 100% word of God, yet they cherry pick through it and they deny the parts that are heinous and obscene. Oh, well, we have the New Testament now. We don't have to look at that anymore. And science, we agree with all science except for the science that says that most abortions happen in the first trimester. No, all abortion's bad. We're just going to pick and choose. Or the science that says that people are born with whatever gender preference they have. It's not a choice. They're born with whatever. You're born the way you are. The end. Oh, but we're going to ignore that. It's your choice. You could choose to like girls if you want to. Yeah, you can. You can just turn a switch and suddenly you're attracted to girls. Or Pence, well, we have electronic therapy or electric shock therapy. Isn't that also science, Pence? Pence and Trump, science is a great tool if it fits into your agenda. That's right. We can use science to build a wall. We can use science to form a registry of all the Muslims in this country so we know who exactly we can persecute. We'll use science as much as we want, but we'll reject it when it stands in our way for doing whatever the fuck we want. Destroying the environment, no longer caring if the water or the air is poisoned or that people are going to die because of it. As long as we make money, yeah, that's all that really matters. So yeah, science deniers, the people who pick and choose, who cherry pick science. The planet can't take your mentality anymore. It really can't. And it might seem like not very much, but 4 more years of just whatever the fuck anything goes attitude toward the planet, I don't really know if the planet can take it. We're already beyond what the planet can take. How much more before we have a planet that humans can't survive on any longer? Oh, but it's just a myth. Just keep telling yourselves that. It's a myth. Yeah, those liberals and their silly myths. Yeah. One day our children will look back at the people that lived in this time when the planet stood on the brink and what life that was still here was dependent on what decisions we make next. What beauty we still have here on this earth is dependent on what decisions we make next. We make the wrong decisions, whatever children that still exist in the future are going to look back at us, and we're going to be the ones that they curse.
I am absolutely convinced that the main source of hatred in the world is religion. And I think it should be religion treated with ridicule and hatred and contempt.
Share the same weather, winter or summer, May or September, the 4th of whenever, it's better together. Let's get together. Home is where